I'm Orlando Jones, and I just want you to know that the Moana Nui podcast will be starting soon. Stay tuned, yo.
I'm Veronica Taylor, and from myself and Ash Ketchum, I just want to say, Moana Nui, I choose you!
Good evening, everyone. I am James, your host for this evening for this edition of Moana Nui After Dark presents our discussion on the Ahsoka series on Disney+. Before I bring in the rest of our panelists, I just want to say that if those who still want to help by donating and giving to the relief efforts in Maui, those are still affected by the tragic events that happened several weeks ago. You can just scan the QR code there in the lower corner. That would take you to links to help out with relief efforts and aid as needed. So give if you're so willing to do so. And with that, I will go ahead and bring in our panelists for this evening. Lady and gent, how are you both?
Good, I'm good.
Furious?
Pretty good. I can't complain.
All right. So we've seen Ahsoka in various media platforms. Yes, I am still going to get the sweatshirt when my bank account allows me to do so, ma'am. I will do that. Ahsoka pretty much came to light in
Mandalorian.
Well, before that, before live action, she was in the Clone Wars movie.
Yes.
That jump-started the Clone Wars animated series, the CGI Clone Wars animated series, because there was a previous 2D animation of the Clone Wars, which is a bunch of silent, no voice, but just music-driven action vignettes and shorts that are about 5 to 12 minutes in length each. From there, she goes on to other series, and we saw her first live-action appearance in The Mandalorian, and now she has her own solo series. 6 episodes of wonderful storytelling that, you know, for my opinion, I loved the direction this show went. You all's thoughts overall, just from that point, just the series as a whole, before we dive into any specifics.
I loved it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I did not forget to watch it. I did not forget that it was on. Like I've done with Loki. I'm not putting shade on Loki. I just forget that it's on because I don't want to think. I don't want to try. There's too much. So
but Loki is so good.
Hey! Loki's another time. We're on Ahsoka right now.
I know.
Okay, but okay.
As an agent of chaos, I can't help it.
She will be here later.
2 minutes. 2 minutes of this. That's too much thinking for me. At the end of every episode, I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then I'm like, I don't have to. That's too much. I just want to watch the episode and enjoy it, not try and decipher the shit. I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I don't want to. Okay, so we can go back to Ahsoka now.
Okay, yeah. So Ahsoka overall, your thoughts on Ahsoka overall, ma'am.
10 out of 10. I loved it. I'll fight anybody. Fight me. I will fight you. And I'm getting the lightsabers, so I will fight you. 10 out of 10.
So Simone, did you watch any of the Clone Wars animated series?
Yes.
and Rebels?
Yes.
Okay, so you have the thorough background of Ahsoka.
Yes. Yes.
So one of our panelists, who hopefully will be joining us later, said that our initial thought was this was Rebels Part 2. Did anyone feel that way? I'm not going to name names. She'll be here later.
And not be here. How you can't do that. You can't. So we're just going to dismiss everything that she has to say until she's here. That's it. I put my foot down. She can't talk about Ahsoka unless she's here.
But
So
she's not exactly wrong. Because this was more so an
it's a
extension of
continuation. Yes,
Rebels.
you're actually you're correct because
This was more as opposed to now. Granted, she was front and center in this story that was being told, but the overarching theme of these 6 episodes was
finding
new
Ezra.
threat, possibly bringing back Thawne, which means we can bring back Ezra, and we got to stop them at all costs, or we got to try to get Ezra back. How can we, or how, there's no way to get Ezra back without bringing back Thawne because they have too many resources, type thing. I want to know if you all felt this from, and we're going to jump all over the place, but the way the series ended, did anyone get the feeling of deja vu? Because a lot of the early episodes of Rebels before Ahsoka shows up, they tend to lose a lot. And by lose, I mean they go on with a plan for either relief or freeing captives or whatever, and there's always a price to pay. There's no real total victory where like, hey, we got out with 0 consequences. Is always a consequence. So either the plan goes to crap and it's like we got to abandon the plan and make sure we all get out alive, or whatever we went in to steal, we have to abandon because one of us got captured and we need to make sure we all get out alive. So did anyone have that feeling as well watching this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I say 10 out of 10, and there was some, I think episode 3, I was kind of bored because it was it was so much action. Oh, not so much action, but it was like it was moving, and then all of a sudden it was like a brick wall, just like smacked me in my face.
Now
Like, okay,
I watched it later. I kind of binged it, so I don't remember which episode was episode 3. What was the meat of episode 3?
that's when they were fighting the jet fighter. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
when Shin. That's when. Yeah, I was like, I
Okay.
I just it was that. I didn't even think about it.
I know
That's
they
how.
made the jump at the end of that episode. Episode 3 was when they made the jump to go get Thrawn, the dark sister, and the Sith Lord she had with her.
Wait, was that episode 3?
The end of it, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
The end of it was her and Ray Stevenson's character. They jumped to light speed.
Oh, and R.I.P. to Ray Stevenson.
Indeed, because his character arc looked like it was going to be very interesting.
Oh my God,
going forward.
Aelin, that was Darth Vader had a child.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. He was the best part of Ahsoka.
Yes, he was. Yes, and I agree with you, 2000%. Yes, he was.
He was better than the titular character.
Wow, really? You got to get Rosario Dawson.
She's not a good Ahsoka. She's not. I'm sorry, she's not.
So how you okay, who would be?
I don't know. Well, honestly, I would have gone with someone younger.
But remember, when this takes place, Ahsoka's not young anymore.
I know.
So
I didn't say young.
Mm-hmm.
I just said younger.
But Ahsoka still needs to present a character who's what, 30-ish, maybe 40s.
Rosario Dawson's portrayal, in my opinion, was for somebody who left the Jedi Order before her training was complete.
Mm-hmm.
She was way too polished of a Jedi.
You
because
mean like
she was strong,
like Kanan Jarrus? Because he was also quite well polished in Rebels.
Yeah, but Kanan messed up. Kanan messed up quite a bit.
Did he though?
Yeah, because so there were the scenes where you could tell something had happened between
Sabine
and Ahsoka,
right?
And they're talking about it, but they're alluding to it. she was way too confident of a Jedi master. And I just don't think that Ahsoka would have been as polished. Because remember, when Ahsoka walked away, she was still a knucklehead kid.
She was,
She
but she
was,
trained
but
herself.
she continued her training. It's not like she
She
stopped
did. She
training.
she
No, no,
did continue her
abs-
training, and she did it with. I want to say that she did it with Luke.
did she?
Well, in Mandalorian, she does have some
Some
time with Luke when Grogu is brought there.
Hmm.
So we don't know how long she was with Luke.
And it's not like Luke was a polished Jedi master either.
I mean,
no,
it's well, considering Luke started his training in 18 and deemed himself a master at like 23.
Right.
right, but he was the son of someone who was powerful.
Right. But but again, it's to me, I'm not it's not a critique of her mastery of the force. It's a critique of, to me, it's the difference between you going through years and years and years and years and years of dedicated hardcore training that turn you into the soldier that you are versus
Same way as
somebody.
Sheen. Sheen did the same thing. Balin found Sheen
Hmm.
and
So
trained her.
is it more so that she didn't have formal training?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the lack. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the
So
lack of
it's the
it's the
lack of
lack of
someone
formal.
teaching her as opposed to her learning on her own.
Right.
Okay.
Because there's a completely different way you carry yourself when you've constantly got somebody on top of you telling you that's not the right way, here's the right way, let me sculpt and mold you, versus, again, Ezra in Rebels. Even though he had Kanan, Ezra was a knucklehead who didn't like to listen.
I
And
mean,
you
but
could
most Padawans don't listen. Throughout the history of Star Wars, when have you ever seen a Padawan listen?
no, that's a very fair point, but it was, I don't know. I think back to my time watching Rebels, and there were some times where Ezra being a knucklehead is what caused them to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and some of that I truly believe comes from the fact that his Jedi, his if he's the Padawan, what are we going to call the actually, has there ever been another name for master other than master?
No.
Because for obvious reasons, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Well, his master died.
Well, no.
And
What,
who
yeah, but and I guess that's what I'm kind of getting to is Kanan didn't finish his training, so
Mm-mm.
his training of Ezra is going to be lacking. Luke never truly finished his training, so his training of Ahsoka is going to be lacking. But the way they presented Ahsoka, she was way more polished than her training should have given her.
So let's dive into the background of that for for those who didn't watch the animated series. The last season of Clone Wars was mostly centered on Ahsoka and what she was doing.
Yep.
You have to realize that in some of those instances when she was trying to hide the fact that she's a Jedi, because again, a lot of that's taking place during Order 66.
Mm-hmm.
So she's trying to remain incognito.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. I'm thinking about the episodes.
and and she
Early
can never, because you as a
with the
Jedi.
two
Well,
sisters who were smugglers that she was
yes.
helping out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And basically like letting them lead, but at the same time let them know like this is a bad deal. They're
Mhm.
going to double cross you in this deal. Like you can see the maturity coming forth at that point through that entire series, through that entire season, all the way through to the end to where she feels Anakin turn. So I would say that, so I get where you're coming from, but I feel like some of that is made up from life experiences and just her natural maturing to realize I understand now what my master was trying to teach me. Like she gets what Anakin was trying to teach her all those years during the Clone Wars, the height of the Clone Wars, if you will. When we see her in Rebels, she is pretty much what she is now in Rebels. This is just a continuation of that. You know, she doesn't pop up for a lot of episodes. I think maybe it's like 10 total episodes in Rebels that she's in.
I'm not
And
sure.
only
I have to
about-
go back and look
And
it
probably
up.
only like 7 of those she has any prominent significance.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, it's like the first time we see her, she just pops up at the end, like, oh my gosh, that's Ahsoka. Like,
Right.
Ahsoka's fulcrum, and we're shocked, and then the episode ends.
Mm-hmm.
So I get where you're coming from, but I think a lot of that for those who haven't seen the series, I can see what they would have a problem with. But we've seen a lot of the background information that leads into this current iteration. But I think this current iteration is an extension of what we saw in Rebels.
Okay,
You
that's
see,
fair.
the way Anakin trained her.
And let's not, before you get into that, let's remember, Anakin's a horrible teacher. Let's be real.
I mean, he was a horrible student.
He's a horrible. So before you finish the way,
Okay,
Anakin,
he was a horrible
But
teacher.
go ahead. Yeah.
So he was a
But
horrible
he taught
person.
her enough that she was able to survive Order 66. Because the way that you're just not gonna fight. You need to survive. So showing her, making her, everybody shooting at her.
Yes.
It's like, okay, you're gonna learn. I'm gonna shoot you 25, 30,000 times. Yeah, I would learn too. to block the damn.
I mean, ultimately, that's what saved her in the final episode of Clone Wars, where the ship is going down, because basically Order 66 is in effect.
Yes, everybody is
every
shooting
single
at her.
trooper on that ship, including Rex, is trying to kill her. So, I mean, the fact that she's able to flip Rex at the last minute, and the two of them against a ship of like maybe what?
But Rex was defaulted from the beginning. So that's
was he?
Yes,
Not as bad as Squad 99, but he wasn't in line with the rest. Like, he had some minor defect, like, because they established this later on. And if you watch Bad Batch, the clones are not all perfect copies. There are minor abnormalities in each of them. Bad Batch is just the extreme abnormalities, and the rest of them are just within a percentage that's we can deal with or whatever. So Rex's abnormality did not allow his chip to fully kick in, if you will, which is why she was able to subdue him easier than the rest of the troops on the ship. So yeah. What do we think about Sabine Wren and her training or lack thereof? Because I find it funny that we tried to train her in the Jedi, because remember, Kanan tried to train her with the dark saber by using Jedi practices, and it didn't work during Rebels when she had the dark saber. And she basically had to wing it on her own. Do we think that because Kanan finally gave up as far as using the Jedi way to teach her with the dark saber, that her learning to do it on her own as far as using the dark saber was part of the rift, or probably the main part of the rift between her and Ahsoka as far as why she quit her training?
Actually, I don't think that had anything to do with it at all.
All right, go ahead.
I think it's just because she is
hardhead.
Yeah, she's a hardhead. She doesn't she doesn't like authority figures.
Yeah, I mean, she
and she has a master. No, that wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So Ahsoka does pretty much come to the point of letting her, again, like Kanan did, let her do it her way.
Mm-hmm.
And they did reach common ground as far as, resuming her training, if you will.
And the one of the things that I've always thought about when it comes to Star Wars, whichever area of Star Wars we're talking about, Jedi always lose.
I mean, they're pacifists initially, supposedly.
And that's part of but again, and they always lose.
And that's what Balin said too.
At some point, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say you have to go on the offensive and attack.
Mm-hmm.
but you've got to get off the sideline.
It's
like that. It's like that episode of Justice League when Superman and a couple of them try to go to Dr. Fate to figure out what's going on with Solomon Grundy, and something happens, and Superman is coming out putting on another shirt, and he's like, "All right, I'm off the fence." You have to get off the fence. You can't just stand on the side and watch. You got to get your hands dirty, and I've always respected that about the Sith. Say what you want about the Sith, they will get their hands dirty and get it done. The Jedi are going to sit on the sideline. Oh, that's not the right thing to do. Stop. Peace and love and happiness. And that's why they lose all the damn time. And
stay
furthermore,
taking L's.
right. And then the thing that irritates me with Sabine is now we're rewriting canon.
Yeah, because in Rebels it was established she had no affinity for the Force whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't.
And now she is Force sensitive to the point of like, oh, in a couple of weeks or a couple of days of training again with Ahsoka, I can now throw Ezra onto a Star Destroyer.
So, and again, don't get, because I'm all for throwing a monkey wrench in, but this is one of those things that it is clearly established. Some people are Force sensitive, some people are not. And now we're essentially saying, but if you try hard enough, maybe you can tap into the Force. Nah, get the fuck out of here with that.
So,
Okay,
Nice.
I agree. I'm with him. I'm with him because I'm like Sheen, looking at her like, the way I love Sheen. I love her expressions. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with her. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with Balin's character. I'm just okay. So let's go back to this one.
Do we even think that? Do we think they'll recast Balin's character?
No, they better not. They better
will
not.
either write him off,
kill him
in some way, shape, or form off screen, obviously, or they probably will recast him.
Why are you opposed to them recasting him?
I'm not opposed.
Simone,
did
you have the same issue when Dumbledore got recast?
Yes.
Dumbledore got
okay.
recast?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yep,
Yes,
the
I
actor
did.
who played him originally died.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
did not like Michael. I did not like him.
Huh, okay.
Because he died after the third film or the fourth one?
The second
I
one.
forget which
Second
one.
one was
Yeah.
that.
He was in the first two.
So what did you think about the two Lionels?
Did we talk about Aunt Viv yet?
Oh God.
I didn't like them either. I like the first one.
The second Harriet Winslow?
What happened to that little girl who went up the stairs and never came back?
We know
After Dark, she unfortunately fell on hard times and did a little bit of adult film.
Wait, was it Hard Times that she fell on?
If it was an adult film, she fell on something hard. I'm just saying.
Hi, Joy. Welcome.
Hey, Joy. How you doing?
I started with your first point of this was Rebels Part 2.
And the second point that I wanted to bring up, I don't know where y'all are in the thing. Sorry for being late. I was still working. I'm still on the road. But I realized in trying to watch Ahsoka, and you see my subtitle is "and so," because zero F's given. I just don't care. I realized that I have expended all of the original trilogy equity I had in Star Wars. I don't give a damn no more about none of it. I don't care. I don't want to see it. And I feel like they are wearing all this out. Like, because people like to compare and contrast Star Wars and Star Trek. Star Trek has had a lot of movies about the original cast. They've had the remake of the movies about the original cast. They've done a couple other movies that, touched on a little few things. You know what you didn't see? A whole spinoff with just Bones, right? Or a whole nother trilogy of just, I'm trying to think of somebody.
Spock
Uhura
or horror. Yeah.
on her own. Uhura, The Adventures of Uhura. Don't I give a damn about The Adventures of Uhura. And so
Well,
here we are in, Star Wars episode 27. The fuck? What are we doing?
well, so Joy, let me throw this out there. Let me throw this out there. I contend the entire point of the Ahsoka series is just to bring Thrawn back.
They could have just brought Thrawn back. They ain't had to do all this. They could do like Marvel did and be like, some shit happened off camera. And that's all you need.
Well, considering how Thrawn got sent to where he was sent to, the fan base would not be happy with something off screen in a single line. Thrawn's back. Wait,
but they're
what?
happy the old girl got powers now when she was not even force sensitive. They cool with that?
No, we're not.
I feel like that's the same kind of violation.
No,
we're
we're not cool with. We're not cool with Sabine suddenly having force.
So
powers.
they gonna give Sabine powers. They could have just brought Thrawn. They could have had, what was it?
It's easier to give Sabine powers than to bring Thrawn back when Ezra took him to a whole other galaxy,
right?
And nobody knew where with the damn
space
whales. With
And that's the other thing. I don't like the guy who they cast to be Ezra either.
Yeah, he reminds me of. I was what is the thing with the genie? That's what I felt that I was watching.
Aladdin.
Oh God.
That's
I get how you could feel. I could see that. Yeah.
Because now I realize you're talking about the live action Aladdin film.
Yeah. I just see Aladdin when I see him.
Oh gosh, that's not good.
Now, the one thing that I've always said when it comes to these Star Wars spinoff series and extra movies, I want to get away from the Skywalkers. The Skywalkers are always front and center in the Star Wars universe. That's one of the things that I love about Mandalorian. Up until Grogu shows up and Luke comes and gets him, there are no Skywalkers.
And we didn't need Luke.
No.
It was cute. It was cute.
It was nice to show the connective tissue, but you're right, we didn't need it.
Now, I'll also say Mandalorian season 2 got about halfway through. It stopped being about the baby. It started being about some other people whose names I don't even remember. And I didn't finish that series either. Because again, equity gone. They have used up all their extra lives are gone, and they died and they stay dead. Here's what I mean. James knows that I said I would never watch One Piece because I'm already 1,018 episodes behind. I'm not starting it. However, they did the live action version of One Piece, and I didn't even want to watch it. I didn't care. I don't care nothing about that. Watched that whole series in 2 days because it was interesting. And even though it was a rehash of something that's been out, honestly, 10, 12 years ago, it was well done. And it was interesting. And it was about the original characters. They stayed true to the canon, blah, blah, mostly, blah, blah, blah. This, I didn't care about Ahsoka when I saw her. First off, I never watched Rebels, so that might be part of my problem. It was too many things. You had Star Wars, and then the new new trilogy, and then the after trilogy, and then the Return of the Thing, and the Solo, and the Han Solo, all this other stuff. And then you had the Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, some clones in space, Clone Burger. Like you had all these other things going on, and now they're out here like, and now it's Ahsoka, and I feel like they're like, oh look, she's black. Ahsoka, sign, whatever. I don't care. And I shouldn't be forced to have to care just because she is a lead of color. And from what I understand, because I didn't watch it, from other people, Erica, my best friend, watched all of it, top to bottom. And she was the one, she was like, this is like Rebels too. And I was like, you have to explain the difference because I didn't watch Rebels. But also, she said that it wasn't really about Ahsoka. It was about all of it. And this is a continuation to your point. She said the same thing. I didn't know who Thrawn was. So now I understand that she said the word Thrawn. I was like, well, we're talking about prawns. But Thrawn coming back was the whole purpose of all of this. That could have been a 90-minute movie, right?
Yeah.
It didn't have to be a 6-10 whatever episode series.
Yeah.
Basura.
it most likely could have been condensed into a 2-ish hour movie.
And I wish Kyle was here because he thinks that I reserve my hate for everything DC. But here is something else that is not DC or Marvel that I am equally hating on because I just didn't think it was worth it. I am a equal opportunity hater.
Again, to me, Ahsoka is for the fans of Rebels.
Yes, Rebels and Clone Wars.
Yeah, if you weren't a fan of Rebels and Clone Wars, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Ahsoka is not the series for you.
Right.
Because I was excited when she hopped up into Mandalorian. Yeah. I was excited. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. And she can fight. I was like, okay. I was happy with that. They showed the background between her and damn, I can't remember his name. The one that played Anakin, actually training and doing the fighting. Like, okay, I'm impressed. Y'all really embrace this, not doing let's have a stunt double do this. No, they wanted to do it. So I'm truly impressed with the fighting skills that they have. But when I saw Ahsoka, I was excited because I saw Clone Wars and Rebels. It's like, oh, okay.
Like when you see Ahsoka and Anakin fighting.
Yes.
How many of us, even if you weren't a Clone Wars and Rebels fan, you're looking at their area where they're fighting is like, well, where the hell are they?
Mm-hmm.
But if you were a fan,
when she fell into World Between Worlds, I screamed.
Yep.
I screamed. I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
I screamed.
That's what I say. It was truly a show for the fans.
Yeah, definitely the fans of the two shows that pretty much all the background is based in, and to a minor extent, maybe a little, the first 20 or 30 minutes of Bad Batch, if you will, but
it was a very it was a very expensive one. Joy, I'll say this about Bad Batch. Did you like the A-Team?
Yes.
I think
you would like
if you like the A-Team,
Bad
I
Batch.
think you would like Bad Batch because it's
okay.
almost
it's
A-Team in space.
Basically, it's basically the A-Team in space.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't need Star Wars history
I didn't
to
I was like,
watch
what
it.
the fuck is Bad Batch? I'm not watching that. I'm not watching Andor. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't care. I don't care that
the first 15 minutes of Andor. I fell asleep on the first episode of Ahsoka. And it was like 8 o'clock in the evening. It wasn't even that late.
But Simone, you should give Andor a chance. That was a really good series.
Okay, so I'm gonna embrace Joy and be her. Like, okay, why the hell should I care about Andor telling me what's going to be happening when Star Wars happens? I don't care. I don't care.
So, Andor is basically
the prequel to Star Wars was damn, what was the name of that one?
Talking about Rogue One.
Rogue One. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Rogue One is great. Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie.
I like Rogue One. But Andor to me is explaining how you get to Rogue One. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
I don't why? Why do I need I
almost didn't care about Rogue One until somebody said it was good and I had shit to do. So I went to see it and I was like, that was great. I'm not about to sit through Andor. No. Is that a person or a place?
A person.
Yeah.
Even worse.
His name is Cassian Andor.
I look at it this way.
Didn't the Ewoks live on Andor? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Andor.
I know.
Why do you do this every time? That's why we can't take you nowhere.
The series are a good vehicle for like the lore nerds.
Yeah.
And the movies are a good vehicle for, all right, give it to me. It's the movies are the cliff notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the stories are for
sit there and watch the whole.
Mm-hmm. And the series are for the lore nerds.
But what I like about it is they pull how Marvel pulled the movie into the television show.
Yeah.
How they blended them in together.
Mm-hmm.
That I appreciated because it was still a continuation.
Yeah.
So I got to watch the TV shows as well as still enjoy my movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm digging Loki. Right.
See,
this isn't that show yet. We're not there yet.
No. That's a no for me.
Star Wars, stop with the Loki swerves. We are not. No more Loki swerves.
Wait, how did that
Does
happen?
that give you the thumbs up if you do that long enough? How are you doing that?
I'm not doing that.
I'm jealous.
Wait, hold on. If I do,
2.
Okay. So basically, we've established that if you've seen previous shows, you enjoy Ahsoka.
yes, yeah.
Or you would find it more enjoyable as opposed to not having watched anything or not having the desire to watch
Right.
anything.
And not understanding her character.
Don't get me wrong.
Understanding.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Simone.
No, it was just basically understanding her character and where she falls in the timeline.
Like, I definitely think you could not have seen the previous shows and enjoy Ahsoka, but that's not who it was intended for. It was
No, it
intended
wasn't.
for the fans of Rebels and Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And that's how I discovered that I was not a fan.
Because you're also not going to go back and watch a combined, 160 some odd episodes of animation.
But you
Didn't I
don't
just
even
tell you
have
I'm about to watch One Piece? Why would I do that? Why would I go through all of
But
that?
you don't have to.
Well, it's 10
because
times
it
less.
puts it in a nice
And then somebody
timeline
was
of
even saying like you had to have played one of the Knights of the Old Republic, like one of the video games tied in there. Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm the video. Knights of the Old Republic is like so far before anything we've seen in visual media. It's ridiculous.
Maybe it wasn't Knights of the Old Republic. Maybe it was something else. But it was a video game that tied into all of this too. That I also equivalently didn't give a damn about.
Yeah, but the video. So as much as the video games do tie into this, they're very minor footnotes that really don't need to be talked about in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Yeah, they're not that big a deal. As far as like it's like so far, it's like
Even the video games that are centered around the movies, they don't matter.
no,
They really don't.
They don't. It's like what was it? Fears, that cartoon that used to come on, Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
When they had the Star Wars special, basically the entire show what took place in the background of the first movie.
Yep.
They did an entire so you get to see them running past where Luke swings out to grab Leia and them messing with the buttons that activate the trash compactor. It's like a whole series of just dumb shit. So like everything you see in the movie, somewhere in the background is Phineas and Ferb. And that's how not important the video games are.
The people who wrote the show Phineas and Ferb,
Yeah, but they're nerds. Yeah, they're also nerds. That's why they carry their nerds.
That's why when I heard they were doing a Star Wars episode, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, the show is intended, I think, for fans of the previous two shows.
The character Ahsoka, and if you're a hardcore fan, that means you've seen previous.
Because again, even with my casting issues that I have, so going back to that, to me,
I was getting ready to jump to that because you just said casting. I'm gonna let you finish because I want to ask you a question about one of the cast members.
I would say Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll, Shin, the Night Sisters, and that one lady. I can't think of what her name was.
Lady Morgan.
Morgan, yeah, Lady Morgan. To me, honestly, those were the best casting decisions for that show.
Yeah.
All on the side of the Sith.
Yeah.
The Sith rule. So I changed my name to Darth Hater. That goes back to what I walked in on when Furious was saying that the Jedi stay losing. There is no way that the Jedi win in the end. It's just all so contrived. Y'all don't stay losing all these years. Y'all got wiped out. Yoda's off somewhere crying in the corner. Whatever's happening.
But it wasn't the Jedi that wiped out the Sith. It was the Sith that wiped out the Sith.
But see, and that's the thing. If the Sith could ever truly get organized, they would rule the galaxy.
Right. That's the problem the GOP has.
That wrong show. Wrong.
You're right. That's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. I'm
But
not
yeah,
wrong.
but yeah,
Okay.
those to me were the good casting decisions. Now the other
young
thing that
Ahsoka.
the other so
Yeah, the
I
youngest
got this
Ahsoka was cool
question.
too.
Was that actually Hayden Christensen that they brought
Yes.
in to?
Yes.
Okay, because I looking at him, I couldn't really tell if that
No,
was him or
that
not.
was him.
That was him.
They did digital de-aging with his face, but yeah,
Okay.
that was actually him.
Okay.
Simone, what did you want to say about the casting?
What did you think of the young Ahsoka?
The young Ahsoka was very well done. I also like the fact that, because here's the issue that I had with Ahsoka initially showing up in Clone Wars that they didn't do in the flashback to that same time period. They actually put clothes on this little girl. So if you remember the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars, Ahsoka is basically wearing a tube top and a mini skirt.
Okay, yeah.
And she is a Padawan of all of supposedly 12 years old across the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Why was that choice made? So when they did the flashback and they showed the little girl as, showed her as a little girl in that same time period where she's first being assigned to Anakin, I'm like, thank you that they actually put clothes on her.
Yes.
And secondly, even more importantly, showing her the hardships of war, because remember at that point when she gets to Anakin, she is literally still in training at the temple. And it's just like, she was basically headstrong at the temple because she bucked authority there. It's like, all right, so since you such a smart ass, wise ass, think you know better than all the teachers, whatever, we're going to give you somebody who you can't really buck that much. Somebody who's basically just like you to an extent. Because remember, Ahsoka was Anakin's punishment.
Yeah.
Where was she when he was killing younglings, though?
She was basically trying not to get killed by a ship full of clone troopers.
Yeah, she had already walked away from the Jedi Order by the time that happened.
Yeah.
Don't nobody walk away from the Sith. They might get murdered, but
I mean, you can't walk away from. There's no
Sith
walking
will
away
die.
from the Sith. You die, the only way out is up in a body bag.
Well,
all I know is when I was in corporate America, what you're not gonna do is get all this training and then just walk off the job. That shit ain't happening. So I feel like the Jedi do not understand.
You
capitalism.
haven't seen these new Gen Zs, how they just quitting?
They don't even get the training. They show up on their first check. All right, I got rent, and they done. I just needed a job long enough to pay rent, and then I'm gonna go work for Uber again. I'll be back.
Coming in stressed.
If you want to see some good stories,
I was just taking this job long enough to my OnlyFans to get up. Now I'm selling pictures of my feet on the internet. Never working in corporate America.
How did we get here? So I will point out this real quick. If you want to see some good stories that involve that focus on Sith and how much they have infighting with each other, I would highly suggest Star Wars Visions.
Yo, season 2 of Visions has been so
Wait, was that
good.
a cartoon?
Oh my god!
That was it was like the Animatrix for Star Wars, right?
Yes,
I did like that because it didn't have nothing to do really. You didn't have to know anything else.
These are all short stories. They're roughly 10, 12 minutes each. But they are very complete stories, and they are wonderfully, massively done by various different animators and storytellers. And
there is
it's been a long time since I killed a Jedi.
Yeah, season 2 came out 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. I'm gonna check it out.
So in season 2, there are a couple of episodes that are very Sith centric that show because Sith are always in 2, the master and the apprentice, and the apprentice is trying to overtake the master and just biding their time to when they can take advantage and be on their own, because that's pretty much the only way the apprentice achieves rank amongst the Sith.
That's what I want to see.
Because the master is basically training their apprentice to one day take them out.
Yeah.
I want a damn backstory on the Sith.
So
that's what I want. Don't give me. I don't give a damn about all these other people. Stop. I want Sith.
The thing I've often wondered about the Sith is, way back when, was that always the Sith way, or
that's what we want to know?
No,
or is that something they adopted as a survival technique?
It was Bane.
Who the hell is Bane? Now we're talking about Jenkins again.
No.
Breaking Batman's back. How we get that?
Go ahead, Simone.
It was. This is why I love the Audible, because I just bought all of the books, and it's like 3 books. Is it 3 or 2 on the story of Bane, how he became, because he was good and he
was
had
born
it.
in the darkness.
He had the power. He didn't know he had the power. He was saving his people. He didn't realize that he was doing it, and then people just started treating him like shit. So he started turning and started doing and just turned evil, and then just realized that all of these Sith are here. We only need 2. That's how you got the rule of 2. You just take me out. I'm gonna train you until you take me out, and then you find somebody else until you train them. So there's always 2.
I
See,
mean,
I couldn't be a Sith Lord because I would never take on an apprentice.
But that's
Eventually, you
how
would have to.
you
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I
That's
don't.
how you.
you
That's
never
how
know.
the Sith continue to thrive.
No, it's not.
The Sith will always be there because there's always 2. Remember, Yoda said, "Always 2 they are." Never one.
But again, if the Sith could organize and get rid of this rule of 2, they would run the galaxy.
Yes, but all the Master Sith believe they should be the one in charge, which is why they're so scattered throughout and not really working in close proximity outside of with their apprentice or direct master.
Fair.
well, they are like the GOP. Right?
Because if you get too many masters in one room, you're going to have infighting on, well, I think we should be doing this and I think we should be doing that. And you had too many cooks in the kitchen, somebody got to be in charge, and they all want to be in charge.
That's
you
the
can't even
one
get a
thing.
speak of the house.
That's
I'm
the
having a
one
whole
thing.
different conversation. Get out here in the corner.
But she's
I'm
not
showing
wrong.
how art
But
imitates
she's
life.
not wrong.
No, she's not. She's not.
I'm showing how art imitates life.
Wait, is art imitating life or is life imitating art?
Yes.
Okay, then. just making sure, as long as we got that cleared up.
I don't know. It's
Okay,
Darth Trump.
so-
His ass going to jail soon.
So one of the big gripes, I think, after the first episode released was the portrayal of Hera Syndulla. And a lot of fans either not liking the portrayal or the actress or both. Where do y'all fall?
I personally think they didn't like the actress because I didn't have a problem with her.
I thought she
didn't
was
have a problem.
fine.
I think she did a good job.
But did she really don't feel like Hera?
Again, to me, nobody other than the Sith in this series felt like who they were supposed to be.
But primarily just talking about the characters extrapolated from the Rebel series.
Her son?
Chopper did.
Yeah, her son.
Come on now. You can't met Chopper's about as foul-mouthed as R2-D2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
R2-D2
that courtroom
is
scene, I'm pretty sure Chopper was dropping a whole lot of 4-letter words
Right.
to that senator. Like, I'm gonna murk you after this thing is done with. You keep running your mouth talking about my peoples. So
The one thing I will say about the portrayal of Hera is there was a certain bravado that she needed to have that she didn't.
okay.
And I think that would have probably, because Hera in Rebels is everybody in Rebels had a certain amount of bravado to them.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what the situation was, their bravado would outmatch somebody else's. And Hera in this series had no bravado. She was
bucking the system. She wasn't listening.
Yeah. Like she bucked the system, but her bucking the system was very
It felt tame.
Yeah, it was very tame.
It felt tame.
Yeah.
Because in Rebels, it was pretty much Samuel L. Jackson in Avengers. Like, I realize the council is giving me an order, but me and that is a fucked up order. I've chosen to ignore it. Like, that's pretty much what Hera was all throughout Rebels. Like, okay, yeah, I hear y'all telling me what to do, but I ain't doing that dumb shit because that is stupid as hell. We're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was like, all right, here's the order. And instead of her just bucking the order, it was like, all right, I'm sneaking out past my curfew. Don't tell mom and dad. It just didn't feel like the same character.
Yeah.
I liked her.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I still liked seeing her on screen. They also limit her.
Yeah, they didn't give her as much
screen time.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't there mostly, except for like maybe the second episode, I think is where she had the most screen time in the entire series. But outside of that, it was just there.
But truth be
The
told,
fourth
how
one, the
important
fifth one, the fighting, when her son was hearing the fighting.
Yeah.
Third episode, yeah.
But I mean, but truthfully, how important was anybody in this series outside of Sabine, Ahsoka,
Balin,
Shin?
I didn't even realize that was David Tennant. I swear to God.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh, that's the Doctor."
I didn't even, and I love Doctor Who.
Yeah,
I am a Whovian. I cannot believe I did not realize that was David Tennant.
He's done a lot of voiceover work. Just slight minor detail. Does anybody remember the anime Genlock that Michael B. Jordan was a part of?
Yes. Great series.
David Tennant was the voice of the scientist in that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I did. Like I said, other than again, Ahsoka, Sabine, Balin, Shin, and the Night Sisters, I don't really think anybody else was all that important. Because Ezra, to me, was just a vehicle for getting Thrawn. Because really, what did Ezra do?
Save Sabine's ass again.
Okay, fair. He did.
And then get thrown into a Star Destroyer and hide.
And then bring word back to the rebellion that Thrawn was back.
Right. Like, hey, Hera, it's me. Don't shoot. Oh yeah, Thrawn's back.
And I don't know where Ahsoka is.
They could have just sent Thrawn through like a wormhole or
use
Heimdall or something and just be like, he's back, boom, from the other galaxy. It would have been a wrap. You know? I'm just saying they didn't need this whole show.
No.
I do appreciate that they are stretching out, that they're trying to expand the universe. I appreciate all that on an academic level. I'm just not watching all of
it. To me, the problem is, even with as much care as Disney likes to have with their properties, they're treating it like a commodity.
That's because George Lucas created it, commoditized it before Disney got their hands on it. It's been commoditized since after Return of the Jedi. Everything since then has been a money-making scene. Because I will die on the hill that George Lucas wrote a one-off while he was high, and it became famous, and it sold millions of tickets. And he's like, I got to make a sequel. And then he made a sequel, and then a third. The third, he actually learned how to write. And then he's like, oh, it's 9 movies because money. And the first 3, no fucking way. This is all lies. Lies, I tell you. And most of the ancillary stories, all that have been written by fans. This is all we've been watching fan fiction for 20 years. It's a commodity.
50.
50 years. God damn, we're old. Yes, 40. 40 is my final offer. 40 years.
Yeah, okay, we'll go 40 years. But what, episode 4, if you will, New Hope dropped in 70.
The only movie. I remember
5.
Yeah.
No,
I remember watching it at a drive-in when I was like 2 years old or something.
And Empire Strikes Back, I believe, was 79. And 83 was Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And he should have stopped.
I mean, he did. That was pretty much it. And we got like little one-off rinky-dink cartoons like droids and Ewoks, and unfortunately a Star Wars Christmas special that no one wants to remember existed.
Well, no, James, remember, Lucas is responsible for episodes 1, 2, and 3 as well.
Yeah, I know.
He did
And that's
that
what I'm
one.
saying. And then in
He
the early,
gave us Jar Jar Binks. You tell me that wasn't commoditized. His only thought in creating that, and again, hill to die on, is this is a cute toy for children. And it's the bane of all Star Wars existence.
But he made up for it in Mandalorian.
Why? Genocide? Did he kill all of the Gungans or whatever? Or they still
oh no,
there?
the actor
No.
who plays Jar
Yeah.
Jar shows up as another character in Mandalorian because unfortunately his career went to hell because of all that hate.
Because he did that. Look cool when I see one. What did he play in
He was
Mandalorian?
He was in a flashback of Grogu.
Oh yeah, he was a Black Jedi, wasn't he?
Right, who helped Grogu get out the temple. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was him. But between Jar Jar and that point, I
don't feel like that scale is balanced, bro.
Oh, it's truly not balanced because he pretty much, to say he was struggling in between those two events is an understatement. But
well, on the plus side, all the Gungans were killed off in episode 7.
They blow the planet?
Yeah, episode 7, the new Star Destroyer Death Star blew up every single planet in episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. That's how you know Deadpool was there, because he was fixing all the errors in all the movies, and I'm sure he was them up too. I'm all over the place.
Well, 7, 8, 9 weren't Lucas, that was Disney.
Yeah.
So you have Disney to thank for that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you hand somebody a sack of warm feces, the most they can do is put cayenne pepper on it. Like, I mean, there's really not a lot you can do at that point to fix it.
Again, what did Cliff say about Dabnus Bricky? You brought me a steak dinner on a trash can lid.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be a great analogy for that one. That's been my goal all night, is to do this whole show.
Yeah.
Agent of Chaos, Darth Hater.
Oh my god.
If you stay quiet long enough, I'm gonna start talking about the remake of something else.
No. Where do we see the story going forward? No, before we completely derail into chaos, 100%. Where do we see this story going forward? Ezra's back, Thrawn's back. Ahsoka, Sabine, Baylan.
Well, let's just go ahead and bring Naboo back and start all the way up and blow it up again. Why not?
Honestly, I don't. Has season 2 been announced and greenlit?
That's the thing. There has not been, and that's the thing. We don't know if there's going to be a season 2 of Ahsoka. We don't know if this story picks up somewhere else.
Yeah, with the strike, there's nothing.
So right. here's what I'm thinking.
But hold on, before you continue, remember at the end of the last season of Mandalorian, Big Brother Dean Almighty, his character had multiple clones because that was the setup for what's the name coming back in the last trilogy of films. But they also mentioned at one point Emperor Thrawn coming back. So we know that at least Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and something else all tying together.
So here's what I'm thinking. I think all of these series could possibly,
Boba Fett.
I think these series could possibly end. And why I say that is, now you've got Thrawn back. You can restart the Empire. Like the next movie going forward, could be centered on Thrawn rebuilding the Empire and trying to take over the galaxy again. And as far as Ahsoka and Sabine.
But does he start the Empire or does he create First Order? Because remember, the whole thing of the last trilogy, because of the time gap between 6 and 7, is roughly about 30-ish years.
I think because of who he is, I think because of who he is, he goes for the Empire.
Okay.
But
So there's another movie title, Star Wars: Empire Rises. There you go. You're welcome, Disney.
and as far as Ahsoka and Sabine being in that other galaxy, we'll get them back in a flashback. I don't think we're going to get an entire series just to bring them back.
I hope not.
We'll get them back in a flashback. And like I said, I think the next movie going forward, even if it's not, it should be focused on the rebuilding of the Empire and crushing the galaxy.
And somehow they're going to have to tie that into Boba Fett. I mean, I liked how, what was one of her soldiers? One of General Hera, one of her soldiers was in all three.
Really?
The one that was it.
Wedge.
Yeah, the Asian.
Yeah, Wedge. That's
the Asian one.
No, the Asian dude's not Wedge Antilles. He's part of Luke's squad. He's like the last surviving member of Luke's squad because they killed Wedge Antilles in episode 7.
Well, it's interesting because Wedge is in an episode of Star Wars Visions.
Yeah. I remember
the
that.
spinoff I want to see is about that Black Wookiee from Boba Fett. What happened to him? I want to know where he is.
There's a whole comic book series about him.
Word?
Yes.
That I will check out.
There is a comic book storyline that involves him prominently. Because I remember that being the thing when he first shows up in Boba Fett.
I didn't finish Boba Fett. Is it worth going back and finishing?
Yes.
Oh yes, Boba Fett was good.
Okay,
and that's my kind of dude. Just you're sorry now. You think I should be peaceful? And arms gone, blood. Yes.
Hey, don't cross a Wookiee.
Right.
As Solo told,
if Rick James was a Wookiee, it would be him.
As Solo said in the first Star Wars film, when you're playing a Wookiee in chess, let the Wookiee win.
Yeah, let the Wookiee win.
Just let the Wookiee win.
Every time.
Simone, what about you? What do you see this story going forward? Considering this is all like 5 or so years after Return of the Jedi.
I'm stuck on Balin.
He's stuck on Balin.
And I really don't want to see it. That I want to see what they're going to do with him. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see. I want to see what they're going to do with him, and depending on what they do with him is going to be how I mean, I love Ahsoka, but I'll cut her loose. I don't have a problem cutting somebody loose if you don't do right by who I like.
Okay.
Fair. Wait a minute, James, did you say this is only 5 years after?
5 or so years. Yeah, these series all take place 5 or so years after Return of the Jedi. Because
okay, then
you start with Mandalorian season 1, they establish at its 5 years since, and then Boba Fett and Ahsoka take place pretty much right around the same time as the final season of Mandalorian.
Okay, then I will adjust and say what Thrawn creates does morph into the First Order.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say because I thought Ahsoka was a period piece. So we've already seen where Rey and all them end up in about 35 years, right? Mm-hmm. So if she's right here and this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, then whatever's going on with they all dead by the time to Rey. So whatever's about to happen, they've got to at least stay in that canon. Otherwise, it delegitimizes the last movie. Which I still don't care.
The last 3 movies legitimized the previous one. So like they did 7 and then 8 was like, well, 7's trash. Don't forget everything that happened. And then 9 came out and it was like, yeah, well, 8's trash. Forget everything that happened. So the last 3 movies, I don't really even count as I could look at the last 3 movies as I do with say somebody who loves Dragon Ball and call it like Dragon Ball GT. That shit's not canon because the dude who created the whole thing wasn't involved. And they can go completely somewhere else going forward X number of years after all these events. So I feel like they can lay groundwork for something totally different and say, screw 7, 8, and 9. Honestly.
And just make Star Wars the next generation.
The only problem though, Jay, the only problem with that though is we've got no precedence for Star Wars doing that. And maybe this
Unfortunately,
is the precedent. And maybe this is the precedent-setting event.
this could be, because let's be real. For 3 movies to be so disjointed and yet still be connected to each other makes no sense whatsoever. And
I can't even tell you what happened in the movies other than Kylo being emo and killing his own dad. That's all I remember. Something, Ray. Spoiler.
and the disservice they did with Ray Fisher's character. I mean, not Ray Fisher, John Boyega. Sorry.
Yeah, waste. And
Finn
I think
was done dirty in all 3 movies. Because first it was, oh, he may be force sensitive. Then in the second movies, no, he's not. And in the third movie, like, oh, well, he was kidnapped because he was. Well, make up your freaking minds.
Well,
Him
but
and
then
Sabine.
again, now that Sabine tries hard enough, maybe he is force sensitive.
No, he is. They said that. So when he meets the other in the 9th movie, Finn meets up. I can't remember the black chick's name that he meets up with, her and her group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Solo's Lando's daughter, right?
Yeah, supposedly Lando's daughter. But they tell him that their village was pretty much ransacked by the First Order, because the goal of the goal of the First Order was to find force sensitive kids and train them up to be their new stormtroopers. It's to basically prohibit them from being Jedi or Sith. So
This is all stupid.
So that's why I remember when oh gosh, what's his name? Isaac.
No.
Isaac, what's his name? The X-wing pilot.
I know who you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah. When he
Isaac,
finds
Ghost Knight.
Yeah. But
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah, Moon Knight dude. But when he first meets Finn, because remember, Finn's job is like trash duty, and he's like, "What's your name?" Finn doesn't have a name. He's like FNN 6 something blah blah blah, and like a series of numbers. He's like FNN. Okay, I'll call you Finn. So he gave him a name. So they basically just all have call signs and numbers or whatever at that point.
I'm just now realizing he could have just called him Toby. He's gonna be naming people.
Way too.
Your name is Toby.
Why is it like this?
Some things never change in the galaxy.
Oh my god.
Oh, furious.
Oh my god.
It just hit me just now. I'm really tired, and so
trust me, I know. We gonna get you on.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Why are you even surprised by what she says?
I'm not. I'm not.
The surprise should be gone at this point. Just
it's been gone.
But yeah, so like all those kids were pretty much like survivors of a village that was bombed by the First Order, and they could have been taken captive, but whatever adults survived prohibit them being captured or whatever, and they just lived off the land constantly, whatever the story was with them. The only difference is Finn's village got yanked up and hers didn't.
You know, one of them episodes, I think it was maybe the 8th, 7, 8, 9. Maybe it was the 8th one. Was that the one where the little boy was sweeping at the end?
Yes, that was 8.
And he grabbed the...
He reached out for the broom
and
it was like only like 3 inches away, but it still flew. Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
That was episode 8, when they went to the casino planet.
Why is it that whenever somebody has a supernatural force, the first thing they do is go gamble with that? What is with that?
They were
where the money resides.
If only they would gamble with it. I mean, the Jedi be rich and they could actually control the galaxy, and you know they could establish.
Not using their power sufficiently.
Pacifists.
Which is why my tag is "will do bad things with the Force."
If I have Force powers, bruh, Palpatine be looking at me like, damn, it'll be great. I would be wanted. I would be the global, top 10 most wanted people in the world. I'd be in the top 3.
I'd be on that list, but because I do things I would do, they wouldn't have a picture of me. All they would have is a silhouette.
Yep. Matter of fact, I might not be on that list because I would have just killed
See,
somebody
I want you
cleanly.
to see my face. It's the same way I'm in a store when I go and you trying to sit me. You want to sit me in the back. I'm not going back there. You're gonna sit me right here in the front. Don't
I
walk
want
back
the
there.
I
I
want
want
the
all
mid,
you white
But I mean,
motherfuckers
there's
to
so
see
many
my
things you can
face.
do with the Force. I don't understand why we always default to Force swords and lightsabers and all that kind of stuff. If I can control matter, I'm giving you a stroke. I'm stopping your heart. I'm convexing your blood cells. I'm
I'm just gonna
removing
make you give me
oxygen.
one.
I'm gonna just
Yeah,
lightning
I
strike
can do all those
everybody.
things. Why would I just slice you and get caught on camera when I can be 30 people behind you at the airport and you collapse and I don't even go that way?
I'm gonna make you give me all your money.
Right.
Force lightning with one hand, force choke with the other.
And I'll be back there like this with my money.
Paying everybody.
These are not the taxes you're looking for.
So at that point, you can just debo folks. What taxes?
What tax? My money now. You owe us $10 million. You owe me $10 million.
Right. All right. So any final thoughts on Star Wars in general, Ahsoka specifically, before we get out of here?
I mean, I was happy with it. I enjoyed the episodes. When she fell into the world between worlds, I screamed. When she went back and forth and looked at Anakin and he turned into Darth Vader and walking, and
That
I
whole
was like,
sequence
"Oh
was
my
dope,
god, that shit was amazing!"
You know,
flashing back and forth.
I thought about that, and I don't know how I feel about them trying to redeem Anakin.
What do you mean trying to redeem? He did redeem himself at the end of episode 6.
Well, no. But the Anakin that he is at that point hasn't been redeemed yet.
Okay. But this
They're
is
trying to
after
make
that.
him sentimental or whatever.
They're trying
Well,
to build.
maybe they're in world between worlds, so maybe
It's world between worlds, and it's also her remembrance of Anakin.
Right.
So the overall, and remember, again, this is years after episode 6. So he's already been redeemed. It's just, what does she know at this point? And does she know he died at the Battle of Endor?
Probably not.
Right. Well, she probably should, consider she was with Luke before this, and he's the one that put him on a pyre and saw his ghost between Obi-Wan and Yoda.
But
when he picks up Grogu, all this has happened, right?
Yeah.
But how does Luke know Anakin is who trained Ahsoka?
She told him. Mandalorian, she does mention, Oh,
okay.
Yeah. It's not a long conversation. It's pretty much just, a one-liner. I forgot exactly what's said, but
Your daddy ain't shit. That's what she said.
Well, it was him wanting her to stay and to train and
help to train other younglings who could come to the temple that he was building. So because him building that temple is to set up how we see him at the end of episode 7, when Rey
when he's reached the same point.
He takes the lightsaber and throws it over to show. That's what that's setting up. Some years later, because he will train his nephew Ben Solo.
Gotcha.
And then try to kill him.
Yeah. I mean, he probably should have, but he didn't.
Because the Jedi always lose.
That hesitation fuck you up every time.
Sith would have just took him out.
Nah, the Sith would have told him to embrace his hate.
His heart.
Be stronger.
Why you gotta smother? You got all these force powers, and you trying to smother somebody with a damn pillow. Stop his heart. Why are we even having this conversation?
Because he's
again. Watch Visions. If you have not watched season 2 of Visions, there's like I said, there's like 2 episodes in there that focus solely on Sith, and it's like, I know you're gonna try to kill me, but I still gotta train you up because you ain't strong enough yet.
Honestly, that is how the Sith gets so strong, is because if you can, everybody wants to live. So if you can't kill me and I'm going to kill you, you've got to be better than me, which means they continually improve their skills. Meanwhile, the Jedi over here playing freaking space chess and not really going beyond a certain plateau unless they have raw talent, which means you got to search everywhere and far and wide and blah, 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 blah. The Jedi should lose.
You know, I wouldn't mind having a Star Wars series focused on the Sith seeking out younglings to train.
Ooh.
That might be kind of
That could be good.
And again, does it need to be a series or just a movie? I don't know, but something.
Again,
movie. I want them to stop doing series because they just be dragged. They do filler in their series like anime. Like I'm surprised Ahsoka didn't go to the beach. You know, I want them to just do movies. Just keep giving me cliff notes.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lore nerd, so I want the series.
I was about to say, for the two lore nerds over there, these two lore nerds, I'm not that deep into the lore, but I love consuming.
I love backstories. Give me a good backstory.
Again, I sometimes, as much as I didn't care for episodes 1, 2, and 3, I always wondered, how did Palpatine come to power?
And you saw it.
I got to see it in episodes 1, 2, and 3.
I mean, it was
a slow burn. Being so real-faced, and don't nobody say nothing.
And
about
how
it.
Order 66 came to play.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, true, because the first thing that
was built, yes.
I mean, one of the first lines we get between Luke and Obi-Wan in New Hope is that I knew your father, and Luke immediately goes with, "You fought in the Clone Wars?" And we never really knew what the Clone Wars were. And granted, the movies didn't even do the Clone Wars justice, which is why I'm glad we got the animated series. Now, I understand that some folks just look down on animation. And there's some so-called hardcore Star Wars fans who refuse to watch the animated anything. But I'm like, Clone Wars the series truly did better than the Clone Wars movie. Because, I mean...
You mean Attack of the Clones?
Yeah. But I mean, what? We only saw the clones for like all of maybe 20 minutes in that film? Yeah. As far as them actually fighting and doing anything? It wasn't much. I mean, it was just pretty much, there's a plot to use clone soldiers to take over the government? Yeah, let's usurp that and just use them for our own doing and fight the robots instead, and the separatists, and that was it. So
Loki is great.
That's enough. Loki is next month. Okay, we will get to Loki next month, or later on this month, I should say, probably.
Joy is like, no, we're gonna talk about Loki.
No, we're not. Joy, do you have anything that you would like to end with Star Wars other than your disdain for the series?
I will say that I do appreciate that the Disney Corporation and the Star Wars franchise is looking to bring more different, I'm always about diversity and inclusion, bringing more stories and more different people and more representation of different groups. And it's not even about, black and white at this point. It's about species and space, but showing that everybody has a story. I appreciate that. I'm not going to watch all of it, but I appreciate that it has been done. And I hope that there's enough people that, like you, Simone, that really, really dig all of this, that are going to keep them recognizing that this is a way to continue to be profitable and also show good representation.
Yeah. Ooh,
and Loki is great.
I do have one other question I want to toss out there. Where was Zeb?
Zeb is what is Zeb? Zeb is because he was in the final season of Mandalorian as well. He was in one of the last 2 episodes.
So there's more Mandalorian I got to go watch. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The last season of Mandalorian, he showed, because whatever it is that Din Djarin is trying to do with and what is Katie Sackhoff's character's name in there? I keep forgetting her character's name, but
Mandalorian.
What, in the Mandalorian?
In the Mandalorian, yeah, Katie Sackhoff, her character. I keep forgetting her name. But whatever, those two are they're devising a plan to do something, but they're also trying to see if the because basically the rebels have taken over the government now, for the newly established government, and they're trying to get assistance for what it is they're trying to do, going after Esposito's character. And they're trying to get him as backup. They're trying to get the government to send at least a squad of fighters out to back them up. And that's when you see Zeb, because they're like, I know a guy who could possibly help us. And the pilot that you see in all 3 series flies out and meets with Zeb. So
so yeah, I got more. I need to go finish.
Yeah, finish Mandalorian. So that's where you see Zeb.
And Boba Fett.
I can't stand you, woman. I don't know why you're like this.
I don't know why I'm like this either.
Oh my God.
It's a problem.
I wouldn't change it though, but it's still.
I'm not trying to. I just acknowledge that it is a problem. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me.
We love you anyway. Yeah, so that is it for our discussion this evening. I will say that, yeah, overall, yes, I enjoyed Mandalorian. I did not have many major issues with the show. My complaints are truly minor. Casting, direction, probably, of some of the characters and how they were portrayed, maybe. Not that big a deal. I would like to see them use these 3 series as far as the events that take place in Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, and establish something different going forward, because again, 7, 8, and 9 are not great as an overall story. It's not great. It's weird because it's basically like you're reading a book and the first 3 chapters say one thing, the next 3 chapters contradict the first 3, and the next 3 chapters contradict the first 6. So it's like,
what if 10, 11, and 12 happen in the gap between episode 7 and the last of the series?
What if we jump to Beyond Rey and just catch up with everybody again when all of them are dead, and it's the Force reawakens, and it starts just reboot the whole shit. I'm tired of these in betweens. You got to see this, like the network of lines between all these shows looks like a conspiracy theorist wall. It's just here and there, and just stop. Why
you like Loki?
No, stop. No, but see, Joy, the reason they do that is because in the 9 movies,
at least Loki will admit that it's dumb.
Hold on, but wait.
Be like,
Joy,
this is a whole multiverse.
In the 9 movies, there is something that is always said or alluded to that they make such a big deal out of, like, you should have been there, and then we never get to see it. So now they're going back and be like, oh yeah, that big event that we referenced, let's actually do something with that.
That's a different timeline.
Ain't nobody ever told me how you can stick a bead, a Koya bead in somebody's back and save their life, but they did it and they didn't explain none of that in Wakanda Forever neither. And I don't care. I don't want to know. Just let it something magic, something dead. Let's start over. Just a suggestion.
Perhaps the next Star Wars movie is so far in the future that there is no timeline to care about.
Or better yet, someone goes into the world between worlds and pulls on the right thread and resets the whole universe.
No.
It's a thing that can happen.
I don't want any more Skywalkers.
No, and that's the thing.
No more Skywalkers.
Not only is the universe reset, we have no Skywalkers.
Then let's just keep going forward.
You know what? I want a multiverse Star Wars. Have y'all seen the thing that was going around, like, what if the whole Star Wars cast was black and they had like Lando Calrissian was a whole ass pimp?
Yes,
it's great. I would love to see that twisted up.
Okay, you just put that in the chat so I didn't see that.
I'm gonna find it. I'll put it in the chat for you. It's great.
Yeah,
I won't see that.
Do y'all have Audible? Do y'all listen to Audible?
Yeah, that's where I do my reading.
I'm gonna put all the books in there for the Sith for you, viewers. You would like it.
Good.
So you can get them.
All right. Well, again, thank you all for joining us this evening for our discussion Moana Nui After Dark on Disney Plus's Ahsoka. Next time we will be doing Loki, as that series is winding down. 2 episodes left as of this recording. And yeah, someone here has brain fart and they're trying to keep up with it. But that will be our next big discussion, and the Marvels will be doing something on the Marvels after that as well, because that is 2 weeks away as well. So, so again, thank you for tuning in this evening for our conversation.
Oh, Joy, Color Purple's coming out. They redoing that. You're gonna go see that?
Yes, I'm going to see that with my sister at Christmas. Mm-hmm.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, I know that was way left. Sorry.
Color Purple.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off, called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. Never cover all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. Never cover all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.